Paige said to turn on the button. Okay. Mao. We're getting ready to do communism. So they told you that Mao is still, like if you would go to China now, you'd still see Mao on buildings and everything else. If you went to Russia, who could you see on a building maybe? No way. Not a chance. One of the deadest men on earth. What? Lenin. So when I was there in 1990, the fall of communism, the fall of the Soviet Union was not until the next summer. So I was actually in Leningrad and Moscow and Leningrad, but I was in the Soviet Union. I went to the Soviet Union. I didn't go to Russia. I went to the Russian state in the Soviet Union. So the next year, all sorts of statues of Lenin were toppled. But what I'm curious about is that 9 years after that was who takes power in Russia? Putin. Putin takes power just 9 years after the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991. In the year 2000, Putin takes power. So I'm curious whether he maybe re-erected them. Do you know what I mean? I wonder if Lenin statues are back up again in Russia. I do not know. So, spread of communism. The Cold War is what against what? Democracy versus communism. And economically, capitalism versus communism. Econ is the Soviet what? To rebuild. It's a Marshall Plan in Europe, right? In the capitalist democratic areas. Us, the United States, did the Marshall Plan to help them rebuild. And that rebuilding thing was called Econ. What is the opposite of NATO in the satellite states? The Warsaw Pact is the opposite of NATO. You have to know that these ideologies still continue where? Where is this ideology of communism still continue? Well, specifically, People's Republic of China, right? Certainly, Kim Jong-un, where? North Korea, other places, but most specifically, China. What about Russia? It's not communist necessarily, but it's definitely authoritarian. Yes? Like Putin is definitely an authoritarian. How many people think he'll kill you if he wants to? That he can have you dead if he needs to. It's not called the KGB anymore. It's called something else. But he can have you dead if he wants to. So here we go. I'm going to go super fast. Explain the causes and consequences of China's adoption of communism. Explain the causes and effects of movements to redistribute economic resources. They just showed you. The Great Leap Forward was trying to redistribute those resources, and what was the result? Famine, death. Collectivization was not working. People had to farm on farms that wasn't. Where did they get this idea of collectivization? Soviet Union had done the same kind of thing. They even did what? They had 5-year plans as well, right? They followed the lead of Russia with the 5-year plans. Some of you in the last DBQ that we did, you tried to show background contextualization about Russia, and that was good, except then you didn't tie it to China enough. Does that make sense? It's okay if you jump the border and go to a different country in a DBQ and talk about something else, as long as you bring it home. Why is that relevant, though? Why are you telling me about that? Good? Okay, so here we go, super fast. Spread of communism after 1900. Go ahead. Communist China. Mao. The communists defeated the nationalists. A lot of you were saying all the wrong things when you were trying to talk about Chiang Kai-shek. They're called the nationalists. It's actually called with a G or a K. Anybody remember the party? The Kuomintang Party. Who remembers what I'm talking about? The Kuomintang. It's called that in real life in China. The Chinese word is Kuomintang. So the nationalists. Mao established the People's Republic of China in 1949. When did the Civil War start officially? It was 22 years, so it was 1927. Chiang Kai-shek and the nationalists fled to Taiwan and established the Republic of China. Taiwan and China, go back, are still enemies today. There, okay. So Taiwan, here's the craziest thing, you guys. Here's the craziest thing. 1949, can you hear me? Is the beginning of communism. By the way, you also talked about the Long March in your DBQs, and then you told me that Mao was going all over China trying to collect peasants for his cause. Mao was fleeing Chiang Kai-shek and the nationalists. If I wasn't clear, I need to be clear. He wasn't just on some big damn parade. He was what? Running for his life. And I told you they started with thousands and ended up with like about 100. They died. The Long March was a deadly, bad, terrible thing. It turns out, as he was going, he sought the help of peasants and then explained his ideology to peasants. Of course, how are peasants going to feel about that on the Long March when he's telling them about it? Wait, so you're going to take all the land from the landlords and then divide it back up amongst us? What do they say? We're in, which is why after the rape of Nanking, what? When they stopped having to fight the Japanese in World War I, they all were like, we support Mao. We support Mao. And again, Chiang Kai-shek was supported by whom? People that look like this. Europe and the US. So a lot of people are like, oh no, we're trying to get rid of white people. We don't want white people. We want what? We want self-determination. Get out of our country. Get out of our country. Who makes them get out of their country? Who gets them out of the country? Mao. Mao gets us out of the country. He gets us out of the country. Now watch. So ready? Ready? 1949 to Richard Nixon in 1972. Put it down. This is an EBD. From 1949 till 1972 with Richard Nixon. Do you know what I'm going to say? What about Taiwan from 49 to 72? Somebody? Taiwan is called the Republic of China. Taiwan called themselves the Republic of China. What did Mao call themselves? The People's Republic of China. What is today? The People's Republic of China is PRC, the People's Republic of China. So watch, from 49 to 72, guess who the whole West, the whole world, disregarded 1 billion people. We can't see you, we can't see you, we can't see you. And only interacted with Chiang Kai-shek's Taiwan. Who are we say we're interacting with until Nixon in 72? We're interacting with China. This is China. The whole world did not acknowledge what? The People's Republic of China until 1972 when Richard Nixon goes there. So why is there contention today about Taiwan and China? What does Xi Jinping say today? They've never not been us. They've always been us. What did Putin say about Ukraine? They've always been us. That's why they think they have the right to do what right now? Take it back. Because they're saying it's not taking it back. They are us. They are us. So, that's a good EBD. From 49 to 72, the whole freaking world disregards the People's Republic of China until during the Cold War, put this down, with Nixon it is called détente. Do you remember that word? D-E-T-E-N-T. Détente. It looks like detent with an E on the end because it's a French word. Détente. And détente, maybe, is there an accent on it?
Yeah.
There or somewhere else?
I think in the first E.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes more sense. So I am probably saying it right. Détente. So détente is called an easing of tensions. It's an easing of tensions. Richard Nixon goes to the Soviet Union and he goes to Red China and people are shocked. And after that time and after that visit, who do we now interact with as China? The People's Republic of China. Do you understand? I mean, that's a really big thing. 49 to 72. Somebody help me with the math. No, it's not 50. It's 23-ish? Am I doing it? Is it 23 years? Okay, so we got it. We interact with freaking Taiwan, who's not Taiwan. What do they call it? The Republic of China, and disregard the entire People's Republic of China after Mao takes power. Got it? Because we're in a Cold War. Go ahead. So Chiang Kai-shek and the Nationalists fled to Taiwan, established Republic of China. They are still enemies today. Go ahead. Mao sought to transform China from an agricultural society into a modern industrial nation. They just showed you that. They are going to even start their own what? 5-year plans. Go ahead. And then this is all propaganda. These are famous paintings that would be all over China. Trying to show what? Mao is this genial, loving father of the country. Literacy increased. Landowning and business classes were eliminated. Peasants were given health care. He's transforming it to a communist nation. He established one-party communist dictatorship and denied people basic human rights. What people didn't get the human rights? The people that had been what? In power. Remember the same thing happened with Fidel Castro where? In Cuba after he takes over. all the landowning classes. Did we talk about this already? The 2%? Where'd they flee to? Miami. They all fled to Miami. They're the ones that went back in what was called the disaster, the Bay of Pigs disaster. Do you want us to abolish state power? Yes, we do, but not right now. We cannot do it now. Why? Because imperialism still exists. Because domestic reaction still exists. Because class still exists in our country. In other words, hey, I thought we were all supposed to be equal. Why is there state power? Aren't we all equal? And he keeps coming up with what? I will, as soon as we get rid of the imperialists, as soon as we get rid of the lords, the landlords, as soon as we get rid of all the other people. So, if there's to be a revolution, there must be a revolutionary party. Without a revolutionary party, without a party built on communist revolutionary theory, and the communist revolutionary style, is impossible to lead the working class and the broad masses of people in imperialism and in defeating imperialism and its running dogs. Hi.
Hi, can I make them a quiz?
Certainly. What do you?
Presidents, please.
Yeah. Which
16
one?
16 through 46.
Uh-huh. Here, Jason. It's right here. Ready? 16 through 46. It's here somewhere. I think it's this one, Jason.
I have a full pass.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Oh, sorry. Click something. Click that space bar. Women gained equality under the law and worked alongside men, but not truly equal. So they claimed that women were equal, but of course still patriarchal. Yes, yes, yes. Right? This is thousands of years. What is it called? So some of you talk about patriarchy and getting rid of foot binding in your DBQs, but I wish you would have said this all goes back 2,500 years to whom?
Yeah.
Kung Fu Zi and Confucianism. What are the 5 principles of Confucianism? Father to son, ruler to ruled, husband to wife, older brother to younger brother, women what? Low, low, low. So don't ever forget, like listen, for all of time, if you're writing, that's why you have to do these tamed PRC quizzes. Don't forget about Confucianism when you're doing EBDs. Like that's the easiest one because it spans how long? Literally 2,500 years ever since Kung Fu Zi started it, and talk about the 5 relationships. You should say it. So if you're using it as EBD, say the 5 relationships and how it is patriarchal in nature, right? Can you have an EBD about women in almost every essay that you write? Of course, right? Of course. Go ahead. Mao announced policy called the Great Leap Forward, calling for increased agricultural and industrial output. China's economy was weak. It was terrible. Take steel as a key link, leap forward in all fields. It killed millions. It killed millions. Mao created communes where groups of people lived and worked together, held property in common, but they had their own property. It was their own property that they now made be in common, so they resented it. Go ahead. Oh, and go back. There's a serious tendency toward capitalism among the well-to-do peasants. Who were they in Russia? Well-to-do peasants. The kulaks, the land-owning classes. The land-owning peasants are the well-to-do peasants. The rest of you what? Have to do what? Work for them in their farms. That's what he's talking about. This tendency will become rampant if we in the slightest way neglect political work among the peasants during the cooperative movement and for a very long period afterwards. We need to get rid of the land-owning classes. That's what those struggle meetings were about. Hi!
Did send Cody Tidwell to the school counseling office when it's convenient?
Yes, ma'am. It'll be about 11 o'clock.
Okay,
Thanks.
sure, thanks.
Just go whenever, around 11. What's wrong?
I have no idea why I'm being asked to go to school counseling.
Oh, good. So go like 11:30 or 11:04 or something.
Okay.
Okay. They're probably on your schedule or something. Go ahead. Communists had production quotas, set amounts of farming of industrial output, so they had these quotas. That's the big problem. Go ahead. Go back. Go back. Look at those tractors. This is their plan. What was it called? The domestic plan to rebuild. No, the domestic plan, the opposite of the Marshall Plan. Econ. Remember, communist economy. That's the easiest way to remember. Communist economy. Look at their tractors. Holy crap. They were really, really old. It didn't help. So they had these quotas. That was the problem. That's why everybody starved. Because then they demanded more from them to send more for their quotas, except there isn't more. But they still demanded, send all that you have, but that made people starve. Go ahead. Oh, did you do it already? No, go ahead. Can you look at this picture? Is this a real life photo? What the hell? Paper tiger. Paper tiger. What? We think they're bad and big and strong and dangerous, but in reality, what? This is, you guys, this is, Great Leap Forward is when my brother was born, 58. 58. What's our economy doing in 58? We, from 1946 but to 58, we are freaking thriving because of, say it, because of the Marshall Plan. Because of the Marshall Plan, who's building everything that Europe needs? We are. We are humming. What about cars? You saw the cars in the 50s? The big, huge things with the big tail fins, right? We're thriving. Look at their tractors. Look at this. In 58, this is 58, the Great Leap Forward. This is 58. This is 58, and we are humming. We are thriving. I'm born 4 years later. We are thriving. And this is what they're doing. This is how they look. Come on.